Okay, so hey y'all, I wanted to come on here today and show y'all basically how to look at your ancestry DNA, because I was one of those curious people who wanted to use Ancestry but didn't exactly want to pay money. So there are two ways that you could use Ancestry. You could use it the way that's out of your pocket, or you could go ahead and do it the free way, or it's free only if you know how to use it in a timely manner, because you will have a free trial of 2 weeks and you could do a lot with that in those 2 weeks. So I'm gonna screen share or whatever. I have my computer here, so that's why I'm looking. But so basically what you will be looking at on my screen is my name. Now, I really did not want to share my full name, but I'm like, for the purpose of the video, it is going to matter. So I have a touchscreen laptop, so this is going to make this process a lot easier. So I'm going to go ahead and just show you guys. So you start off by putting your name first. So as you can see, I am right. So as I was saying, y'all, before my camera nearly died, it's gonna say my name. Oh, it's gonna say your name first. So you put your name first, your birthday, and then you're gonna put your parents, and then you're going to put their family members. Now, this is how Ancestry will develop your family tree. You have to put at least like a grandparent, some aunties, and it's gonna start to develop on its own with its own pictures. As you can see, this picture here of my grandfather, this was a picture that I never even seen of him, but that's definitely my grandfather. So when the people say Ancestry is fake, I just be like, no, it's really not. The DNA test part, you could do your own research and confirm or deny that on your own. But as far as the ancestry part is solely based off of what information you put in your actual family tree. So with this information, I was able to trace my family back to Louisiana. This is something I never knew about my family because I'm estranged from my family. I talked to my dad and he just never told me this information in all the time I've been knowing him. He didn't tell me till after I started doing my ancestry. So the rest of my family I'm pretty estranged from. So I didn't know that they came from down south and moved to Chicago, because that's where my family all is living. So I assumed that they were born there, but no, they're not. So I found out through Ancestry, we have like a lot of family that lived in Louisiana, bought land, etc. They were in wars. You get to see a lot of information when you do when you are paying for the subscription, but you could save whatever records that you see, so you will always be able to access them even after the trial is over. So I was able to trace my family way back to before we even had this last name, and I know who this last name came from, or what people this last name came from. We were married into the last name that I have. Our actual name was Celestine, which after doing further research, that is a French name. So it made sense to me living in Louisiana, having a French name, we would be Creole, or in that area, mixed with multiple things, so like a Creole type of people. While I was not able to confirm this with my family, because of course they told us we live in Louisiana, but they are far removed from their culture that they were in when they were in Louisiana. So what I did was, that's when I finally was like, okay, I think it's time that I get my actual DNA test. So with the actual DNA test, that's going to be $100. And they do have sales like on every holiday, Mother's Day, anything you could think of, it's a sale. So basically it's going to be 50% off. Then it's only going to be $50. I think it's worth it because the DNA test just confirmed everything that I knew on my own with my own research. Of course, I was able to find a lot, but there were some things that I was not able to find. Like, I get to see actual documents, actual letters. But my DNA test just confirmed to me what I was thinking about the French part and the Native American and growing up Creole in Louisiana. Because if I go to my results, the first thing it's going to bring up is that we were in Louisiana in that Creole area. So it classifies my family as Creole as well. But of course, it's going to show other regions. And I would say don't pay too much attention to percentages in Ancestry, because the way our DNA is dispersed is on the basis of family member to family member. So one sibling may have more DNA from this one ethnicity than you, but you both have the same parent. So that's how that will work. So I wouldn't pay too much attention to all the basically hearsay about that, because I don't think that means anything. It just means that, you know, more of that DNA went to your siblings, so they may have the phenotype of that ethnicity. Now, me, as you can see on my thing, it says the indigenous Americas, France, Wales, Mali, Senegal, Cameroon, Scotland, Ivory Coast, Ghana, Nigeria. And all of these shocked me except for the French and the Native American. Like I said, I knew that my family, I was able to trace our names back to Louisiana, and I'm going to show you guys just the records. I was able to trace our records back to a man named John Norman, who was living in Louisiana, and he owned a lot of slaves. And there's a letter from his wife when she was trying to divorce him in the 1500s, because he was basically raping his slaves. So she didn't want anything to do with him anymore. So I was able to discover that on my own without paying a dime. But the DNA test just confirmed what I knew, because people like to laugh at you like, oh, you think you're this, you think you're that. Like, don't play with me, please. Like, I really do my due diligence in my research to not claim any ethnicities that's not mine. So maybe in the past, because when you don't know yourself, you're just like, that's why you have so many people that wants to be from here, wants to be from there. But I like to be truthful in my analysis, and basically the truth of the matter is I'm African American. All of this just equals that Creole is an African American subculture, and that's all that would mean. It wouldn't mean anything else. But I do like seeing the records. I get to see pictures of my granddad that I never seen before. Like I said, you get to see family members on there who have also done this test. And I just think it's a good way for people to just come together, put their heads together, and really learn about themselves. Now, it will be confusing at first, but you just have to do your due diligence and, you know, do what you need to do. Get the information how you can, and make sure you are confirming with your family members about this information. I was able to see like a great uncle, the uncle who we married into his name. He fought in World War I and in World War II, and he died in World War II. That's what really raised my interest on wars, which is why like I really like to learn about those now. I like to learn what we were doing during that time. So it's just something interesting that I found within myself, and it really, really fueled my love for history as well, because this is history. This is all a part of me, and I'm so happy that I found this information, and I hold it dearly to my heart. It's pictures that I have of my ancestors that I just won't share because it's so dear to me, and it's just something that I know that the Most High, He put me on this path so I can find this information. I am meant to hold the records of the ancestors and of the people now. Like, I'm meant to retell stories. I'm meant to make sure these stories never die. And I would call that, you know, a scribe in a way. And that's what I feel I'm meant to do in this life. And I just followed my path. You know, I no matter what people said, like, people was like, oh my God, that's where you want to be this, you want to be that. I don't want to be anything. Okay? Like, I understand my culture as a Black American, as an African American, and I'm very proud of it. So I wanted to know, we're more than just these people that came off the slave ships. Like, we built something here, and after we came here, we doubled down on our strength. and we were really like, we get overshadow our, you know, accomplishments get overshadowed by the mess. Like, it really does. And we often don't even look back to our ancestors to see what they did wrong, what they could have did differently. And that's what I find important about this, because this tells us a lot. I learned a lot just through Ancestry about my family that I've never even seen before, because they've passed on. But it's just like, I feel definitely connected to them because I'm holding their name, which is a reason why I'm not one of those pro-black people that wants to erase their culture and erase their name. I understand. I'm not one of those people that wants to rid themselves of my name, my history, because it is something that's connected to my ancestors. Now, while the name may have came from a European colonizer, that does not mean that it's any less significant. Because for me, I feel like people try to tell us our history isn't real and this and that. And this is my proof. This is my aha. And you know, even when people try to tell me like, oh, your family couldn't be Creole or you couldn't be Native, like any of these things, my last name proves that, you know, we have a French last name, or had one before we married into another one. Our French last name was Celestin, and they changed it to a few different things. So it was just interesting that people want to give that part of themselves up, and I do understand it, but I also want to still hold strong to my ancestors and show them that you didn't go through what you went through for nothing. And this is something that I'm proud of, because you fought, you worked very hard to preserve this name for us and make it into something new. So I kind of understand that, but I also understand why people want to rid themselves of it. So that's just my thoughts on the matter. How I went about learning about the Native American side when it came to everything, there was a few names that popped out to me with the geological area that my family was living in. So they were in Avielish Parish. Okay. So this is what I started looking up first. I started looking up who was living in Avielish Parish at the time that my ancestors were there. So what influences may they have been influenced by? And then even looking at the phenotype of my family members, it does, I might put a picture of my grandma, because there was one picture where she really looks like a Avio Indian. And that's what they're called. So it's just very interesting, those things. I looked up this book, History of the Avielish Parish, because when your family is living in these geographical locations, a lot is happening. Influence, culture. And during that time, especially, they were being influenced by every culture around them, which is why I'm not surprised that there is Native American in my bloodline, along with French. So with that being said, the Native Americans that were living there at that time was the Tunica and the Natchez and the Avios, and they were primarily, you know, combined together at one point. So I did some research on them using the book The Black Indians. They were in there. So those were people, Native American Black tribes, who were around or who helped fight Black tribes or fight with Black people for liberation. They were helping. So I was looking at that. And you also find like a lot about your last name. So my government's last name is Lockwood, right? So I would look up Lockwood, you know, origin. And then the one that matched up with my ancestry was Anglo-Saxon, which would make sense. You know, it's a English last name. I do have on my ancestry some family that was in England, the UK, I would say. I'm not very familiar with that. I would like to visit there one day. Out to me, and it matched up with my ancestry, but our name, which was Celestin and Creole, whatever, but we married into, you know, just Black Anglo-Saxon, Black American bloodline. So that's how that went down. And my ancestry proved all that. Like I said, I showed my ancestry results, and I think it was worth the entire $100. I'm not complaining at all. So thank y'all for tuning into the video. This is just a really short video. I just came on here literally just, I don't know, I felt guided to just make a video, because a lot of people do ask me, like, did I get my ancestry tested, or they have like thoughts about it, like, I don't want to do that. And I don't think that you should have those thoughts about it. I think you should be open to doing it. So that's all I wanted to say, and be sure to check out my last video, y'all. I really put a lot of work and research into that. I put a lot of work and research into all my videos, so go check all of them out. And that's it, y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in, and I will see y'all another day. Shalom, family. Mwah.